What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and welcome back to Top 5 Tuesday, a weekly series where we count down the top 5 characters, teams, and concepts from across geek culture. And this week, we're counting down the top 5 worst comic book movies in the history of Hollywood. And for obvious reasons, we're going to be leaving off the Fantastic Four reboot. Because it sucks. Really bad. Like number 5, Judge Dredd. When this film was released in 1995, I didn't know who Judge Dredd was or why he got a movie, and to be honest, I still don't. While Karl Urban's reboot was absolutely amazing, Sylvester Stallone's version leaves a lot to be desired, and by a lot, I mean almost everything. Taking place in a dystopian future around the year 2080, the world has become virtually uninhabitable with most people living in giant cities that are overcrowded. Much like today, what used to be the criminal justice system of courts has been replaced with cops that act as judges, immediately determining guilt and carrying out executions on the spot. The story follows a pretty formulaic status in that Judge Dredd is a good guy, he's framed for a crime, sent to prison, and then breaks out. For me, there were only 3 redeeming features to this film: Sylvester Stallone's lip curl, Rob Schneider, and Diane Lane. Diane Lane. While I was a little disappointed that the film didn't have Lopan, I will say that with Rob Schneider playing the comedic relief in the form of Herman Ferguson, a movie that would have otherwise been incredibly boring saw a pretty good bit of fresh air. With Armand Assante playing the villain Rico and the brother of Sylvester Stallone, the movie essentially comes down to mom's kids tearing up the furniture. While not the greatest of endings, seeing a robot rip a man's limbs off is pretty cool, except they didn't show the arms and legs being ripped off, and instead, they just showed blood. I always wish they would have showed the arms and legs being ripped off. Number 4. The Green Lantern. And so this movie was like 90% CGI, and if you take Ryan Reynolds' six-pack into account, it was 100% CGI. Even the face mask was CGI, and they could have bought one of those for $1. I know because I've seen them online for $1. The movie would have been better if it had featured Lopan, but because it didn't, we'll work with what we got. As one of DC's most popular characters, Green Lantern fans were pissed when this movie came out. And I don't mean pissed as in Warner Brothers, why did you make this film? I mean pissed as in this kid. In truth, Hal Jordan was and still is a mainstay for comic book fans and has a backstory that many people absolutely adore. As an example, during the 1993 Emerald Twilight story, Hal Jordan went insane after Cyborg Superman blew up his hometown of Coast City. In turn, he recreated it with his ring, started talking to the ghostly apparitions he made with his ring, was kicked out of the Green Lantern Corps for abusing his ring, killed everyone in the Green Lantern Corps, the Guardians of the Universe died. I mean, the entire Green Lantern mythos came crashing down over the course of a 3-issue story. So yeah, Green Lantern fans were pissed when they saw this movie, and understandably so. I mean, I get that this movie was based off Geoff Johns' run from 2006 with Green Lantern Rebirth, but come on, Warner Brothers, at least act like you care about the character. All of the other characters like Carol Ferris are boring, which sucks because she eventually becomes Star Sapphire. Parallax, the living embodiment of fear, looks like a character from the Ghostbusters. Hector Hammond looks like Warner Brothers' failed attempt to continue the story of the leader from The Incredible Hulk, and Sinestro doesn't do anything the entire film, and a half-cocked attempt is made to establish the Yellow Lantern Corps at the end of the movie. Number 3. X-Men Last Stand. My god, where to start? First things first, this movie gets a strike because it didn't have Lopan. Having said that, if the guy who made X-Men 1 and 2 comes back just to retcon your film, then your movie probably sucks. Not only does it suck, the film studio that released it figured the world would be better off pretending it didn't exist. So the movie's based off 2 stories, Chris Claremont's Dark Phoenix Saga and Joss Whedon's The Gifted. The Dark Phoenix Saga was about the Phoenix Force going crazy after experiencing human emotions, and The Gifted was about a cure for mutants. Now I get the cure part and I can see how mutants would disagree over it, but in an interesting turn of events, Magneto goes from saying, "I think mutants should be free of human control and lead their own lives," to saying, "No mutant should have the cure because the government would use it against us," so he wages a war in order to save mutants from themselves, I guess? I don't know. Either way, the biggest problem with this movie is Jean Grey. I consider myself well versed in her character and have been reading her story since as far back as I can remember. So when I say that Jean Grey in this film was ridiculous, I'd like to think I know what I'm talking about. The problem with emotionally insane Jean Grey in this movie is that if Brett Ratner intended to demonstrate her craziness by having her stand around, then I guess he hit the nail on the head. In the comics, the Dark Phoenix saga deals with the Phoenix Force replacing Jean Grey while the real Jean heals from injuries in space. The Phoenix experiences human emotions, something it's never felt before. It's manipulated by a crazy guy named Jason Wingard from the Hellfire Club. It breaks free of his control, travels throughout the universe, destroys a world, and because she's basically insane, the most prominent races in the universe decide she needs to die. The Dark Phoenix saga is amazing and continues to stand the test of time as one of the greatest Jean Grey stories ever told. Whatever it was that Brett Ratner and his team were thinking clearly had nothing to do with the Dark Phoenix saga, and if it did, I highly doubt they read the source material. I'd wager they read a Wikipedia article and based the movie off of that. Number 2. Howard the Duck. So what I want to know is this. Who thought it would be a good idea to make this movie? The reason why is because that person needs to be tied up and dropped off on an island to spend the rest of their days isolated from society. I imagine that if I saw the world through the eyes of the Joker in the midst of a really bad acid trip, this is what the world would look like. So the film centers on Howard the Duck, a creature that hailed from an alternate dimension composed of ducks instead of people, who was yanked into our dimension due to an experimental device allowing individuals to jump through alternate realities. While it starts out crazy, from here, the movie descends into complete madness. Apparently there's some being floating around called the Dark Overlord or something like that wants to bring his own people into this dimension. Howard the Duck tries to bump uglies with Leah Thompson but's blocked by Tim Robbins. The Dark Overlord gets destroyed, but Lopan never shows up. This movie is the very definition of what it means to be clinically insane, and I think that whoever made it fell directly into that category. Number 1. You know, it was actually really difficult picking the worst comic book movie of all time. Sure, there's films like Batman and Robin, The Spirit, Jonah Hex, Superman 3, any of the Fantastic Four movies, Ninja Turtles 3, Spider-Man 3, Ghost Rider, Ghost Rider 2, Elektra, Daredevil, Steel, X-Men Origins Wolverine, just to name a few. In the end though, I gotta give the award for the worst comic book movie of all time to Catwoman. Honestly, not even Lopan could have saved this movie. You know how they always have a scene in a scary film where the main star's fumbling around in the dark looking for a light switch or something? Well, that was this movie. What made this film suck is that there were small changes that weren't even necessary. I understand that sometimes plots have to be adjusted or modified to fit the silver screen, but in this movie, Catwoman's name is Patience Phillips. In the comics, Catwoman's name is Selina Kyle, and I have a difficult time understanding why the name change was even made. If it was because of some convoluted backstory or something like that, it would have made sense to me, but nope, it was changed because reasons. Apparently, Patience works for a cosmetic company which is owned by Sharon Stone, who hasn't been hot since Basic Instinct in 1992. The product in question is a beauty cream which advertises to reverse the effects of aging. However, it's revealed that if the cream is taken for too long, the user's skin becomes marble, and if it's not taken long enough, their skin disintegrates. Halle Berry overhears this, tries to escape, gets drowned by Sharon Stone's goons, and is brought back to life by an Egyptian cat that apparently operates as the herald of Bast, the Egyptian goddess of warfare. Halle Berry puts on a disguise, fumbles through the rest of the film, Sharon Stone falls from a building while her skin disintegrates, and thank God the credits roll. My fellow members of the Rob Corps, I'm not a Hollywood actor, but I gotta ask, did Halle Berry even read the script for this movie? And if she did, what in God's name would lead her to join on? Unless she was suffering from Nicolas Cage level financial problems, I have a hard time understanding why she would make a film that was destined to earn a rating of Fantastic Four reboot. With that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what your top 5 choices are for the worst comic book movies of all time, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.